Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and other forms of being, and welcome to Bread.
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 I'm joined by several individuals who identify
Me.
themselves as
I am. Oh, I.
he is, and
And I am the bread man.
yeah, that's what we like to
That's
hear.
why we have him here.
I do have one
I
question for you before we start, though.
What's your one
Are you
question?
ready for the first sip?
I'm ready for. Yeah.
All right, let's get a little countdown. Three,
Me.
2, 1, and
Fuck.
man, he wasn't ready for the first sip. Let me tell you.
I was not.
Don't make that mistake, loyal viewers. So, what are we talking about today? What are we
Bread.
talking about today?
Bread.
Bread.
So,
You're goddamn right we are.
okay.
Tell me about your experience with bread.
The very first time I ate bread, I
I
cannot
want to hear
remember,
this.
but I'm pretty sure it was not sourdough bread.
That's honestly the original sin right there.
That's quite
The
unfortunate.
worst part about the invention of bread is the fact that sourdough bread wasn't the
It wasn't
first bread.
Yeah.
One can only assume.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine.
I mean, we
'cause
didn't.
why would anyone if sourdough bread was really the first bread to be made, why would anyone take sourdough bread and invent another bread that isn't that?
Correct.
There's a lot to be said about bread. Bread comes in a lot of forms. I think we can start out with some regular loafed bread. You know, there's a common saying, right? You know, when something is a cool invention, you say it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Yes, that.
And I actually, for the first time, like last year or so, had unsliced bread. You know,
Oh,
from Panera,
really?
we would buy loaves that were unsliced, and I'd say overall it's a pretty good experience. You know,
I
you can
mean,
make the bread
I've
the exact
had some
thickness
sliced-
that you want. You know,
I've had
I
some
think there's
unsliced
some
bread
pros
before.
here.
Yeah.
The
There's
biggest
definitely some
con
pros.
I found with unsliced bread,
Yeah.
you know, the OG is that if you have some absolute dumbasses in your house with you eating your bread, right?
Mhm.
Then this thing happens. If you don't cut the bread perfectly straight down, all of a
Oh.
sudden the bread is tapered. So now that it's like tapered, it's like an incline, and when you go to cut the bread straight, it like does this shit where it's like super thick at the top, and then it like tapers off all the way, so that it's like this little thin, little crispy chip at the bottom,
Oh.
and it
kind
toasts
I
all
kind of-
uneven,
yeah, I
and
kind
it's
of know what you're
awful.
talking
And
about.
and that's the worst part about unsliced
That's
bread is
criminal.
that
I mean,
You
I
can
haven't-
get
I
the
wouldn't
thickness you
s-
want,
yeah,
but
I haven't had
people can
unsliced
ruin
bread
it, you
in the
know?
form of just like a straight up loaf. Like, obviously, there's other shapes of bread that I've had that aren't necessarily sliced, such as baguette
Oh
or bread rolls.
yeah,
and whatnot.
baguette you slice yourself and whatnot.
But
Sure.
but yeah, when it comes to just bread to use for general bread use, like I haven't actually had unsliced bread in that particular way.
I do actually recommend it. You know, if you're looking for a particular thickness in your bread that you've been looking for that you can't find, that's definitely the easiest way to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For like, if you want to make like a bruschetta toast, you don't want your bread to be too thin. Usually, I find that pre-sliced bread is a little bit too thin for that, and usually the bruschetta will just like uh, soak through. So if you want something like that, then you'd probably want to have like a thicker slice
better-
of bread.
Yeah.
Bread.
Speaking of toast, have any of you guys either toasted a whole loaf of bread like one by one just because you really wanted some
Oh,
toast?
I thought you meant like you put the whole loaf
no,
in at
no,
once.
no.
No.
Is that possible? You think? Do you
Just-
think
just
that
toast it one by
humanity,
one.
No.
or does humanity
Just one
not
by
allow
one.
it?
Toast each slice of bread in the loaf, such that.
Why would you do that though?
Because you
Can you
can't
fold a
get
How
loaf
long
of
did
bread?
that take you?
Can you fold the
a
loaf of
loaf
bread?
of bread.
Surely
it'll
Can
tear.
you fold
can.
a loaf of bread?
I don't
Yes.
think it's. I don't think it's stretchy enough. I think it would break. It's too brittle.
What if,
Like a big,
what if you
can,
melt
like,
the
fold a
bread
baguette.
first?
You could fold like some
I think if
like
you had
white bread.
one thin enough, surely.
Isn't it kind of wacky how
Yeah.
someone took bread, they proceeded to slice it as you do, sliced
Sure.
bread.
Right.
It's sliced.
Yes.
But then they decided, why
Then
not?
they were like-
in this new sliced form, why not decide to take this produce and cook it for a second time?
they did think that, and they also simultaneously thought, man, this bread, now that I've sliced it, is so good, but I wish I didn't have to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
I do think it's interesting, the idea of toasted bread. There's a lot to say about the history of bread, and that
It's like
how
like
did it
refried
happen?
beans.
How did bread happen? Like, how did we take this little wheat plant, this like yellow grass or whatever, and we turned it into big, spongy, fluffy goodness? How did this happen?
Yeah. So
And sour goodness at that.
right. In order to do
And then
that,
we put oats in it. Like what?
we would have had to
Tell us
take
about that.
take some grass, grind it up, put it in a bowl, slap some water in there, and put some bacteria to make it grow.
It is true. How did we figure out that if we grind up grass into a fine, mix it with bacteria, and
I
put
don't
water
know.
in it, and put it in a hot place, it would just fucking melt and like expand into a big giant sponge? It's a lot of those inventions that me as to how someone would ever come up with that. Like
Yeah.
it just baffles me. How does one come up with bread? I mean, surely they won whatever version of the Nobel Prize they had back in nothing BC, but
BC. I think bread wasn't invented until at least like a couple years.
you think it was after death here?
Jesus didn't eat bread.
But his body was bread. Remember?
Jesus ate
Yeah,
lots of
yeah,
bread.
that
It was bread at
that
the
was
Last
first
Supper.
Bread. Jesus' body was the first bread.
Here's the.
There was
Oh,
bread.
so you're
at the
saying
last
that
Here's the
bread?
interesting thing.
They figured out bread
Are
because
you
it was
familiar-
Jesus'
I
body.
I know.
Jesus'
I know.
body
Jesus
was made
is
out of
eating bread.
yeast.
I know Jesus is eating bread in the Last Supper. I think
is.
anyway. But
Oh, wait,
but
are you claiming-
But are you saying? You're telling. But like when you think
I
about
think
it,
you're claiming
are his
right now. I
legs
think I-
present in the photo.
Yeah. No, his legs are not.
His legs are not present. Are you
Are
saying that
you-
the bread
are
of the
you
Last
claiming-
Supper?
Are you saying the bread of the Last Supper is Jesus' legs?
It's Jesus. Yes.
Are you claiming that we figured out how bread works because Jesus' body is made up of flour, yeast, and water?
It probably thought
Jesus,
so, too.
Jesus gave us the bread. Jesus invented bread. Are you familiar with the dispute between the Roman and like Eastern Orthodox churches over whether the bread should be leavened? Like, what even is leavened bread? But like that's a like
Isn't
that like
leavened,
caused
when it
like a
leaves
Even
war.
bread is
bread.
using yeast
Yeah. It's using yeast so that it becomes bread instead of being a
instead
cracker.
of flat. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's cracker
The
versus
communion wafers. I think they made communion wafers just to figure out how can we take bread and the goodness of bread and remove every single good attribute that bread has. And that's
Well,
what they came up with.
Well, that's how they make
it worked.
yeast, like the yeast that you buy.
They wanted
at the
people to
supermarket.
not enjoy eating Jesus, and quite frankly, I think that was their biggest mistake.
Well, no, because Jesus is made out of he's made out of some good bread, right? Because
Mhm.
he's the Son of
Yeah,
God,
use
right?
some like
So he's made out of some primo
use
shit.
some brioche shit, okay?
Yeah, right.
He's-
so
he's
so
on
in order
God.
to get to the communion wafers, which are unleavened, by the way, you would have had to pull out the yeast from the good stuff, right? So I think that's where like the yeast that you buy at the supermarket comes from. The yeast that you put in your bread at home. I think you
Saying
that was
communion
pulled out
wafers
of-
are the single biggest contributing factor to the yeast trade.
exactly.
What happens when they run out of yeast?
That's what come back to give us the rest of the yeast.
Oh yeah.
You.
You'll replenish the supply.
Mm-hmm. They'll
Maybe
do
we
that.
should
What is your
Maybe we should
favorite
just
kind
start
of
growing more yeast, and then maybe.
Kind of.
what is your favorite kind of bread?
My favorite kind of bread, I would say my personal favorite kind of bread is sourdough bread, like, but specifically from San Francisco, where they have the really good fucking batch of bacteria that they slap into the bread.
They got bacteria down there.
I think there's a
Down
lot to
there
say.
in
I'm a
Central.
big brioche fan. I think brioche is good.
The brioche is fire.
Pretty fire form of bread, to be perfectly honest.
What bread do you think makes the best toast?
Now that is pretty clearly sourdough bread.
Yes.
Sourdough.
I think toast is such a interesting recipe because it really just it hinges on the bread so much. A lot of things, you know, can hinge on its ingredients. You know, most burgers you eat, the bun is not really crucial. But on
Right.
toast, I mean,
Toast is
there's
not.
nothing but bread there.
Well, butter. You put that
Butter,
on. Or
jam.
something
Well,
else.
yeah,
but other things suck.
Are you
that
guys
aren't butter.
jammers or jellies?
But on the toast, the main ingredient here is the bread. So
Yes.
if your bread isn't good, your toast is gonna be pretty dog water.
I mean, for the
you
people-
have to admit that.
I think people who eat toast that isn't sourdough, or at least prefer it to other forms of toast, that being sourdough, they I don't think they eat toast for the bread. I think they eat toast primarily for whatever it carries, and that is a
Convenience
not
factor.
good
the
thing.
jams and the jellies. Are you
I
guys
think-
jam guys or
I
jelly
think
guys?
bread, toast to a certain extent is may be just well known for its convenience factor. To be quite frank, I mean, they I'm sure they made toast with like broilers before at some point, but I mean, after the invention of the toaster, it was a way to consume bread in the best way possible, in the fastest way possible. You know,
Mhm.
when you get down to it, that's really what the goal here is with toast.
I wonder.
And I
if-
think toast is a pretty perfect formula in that. You know, they invented a whole
Mhm.
thing for it. That's why I think it was a poor decision when it was later ruined, with the invention of crumpets. Okay, can we talk about crumpets for a second
No.
here?
Fuck crumpets.
Fuck
Crumpets
What
are
about
fucking the
crumpets?
most tasteless pieces of
I
shit
think
ever.
British people have ruined everything
Oh,
great about
crumpets.
toast. All you
Yeah,
hear about is
yeah.
beans on toast, tomatoes on
Ew.
toast.
Why the fuck would you
Ew.
eat beans on
Awful,
toast? Just eat the
stupid
beans.
garbage.
Beans are good.
Ew.
Toast is good. Beans on toast is the most foul,
Nope.
foul combination of two objects.
I bet they invented pineapple on pizza.
No, actually, that was not
That was the
that. That was
Canadians.
not them. That was the Canadian guy. That was
They're
like the
offspring.
Greek
They're
guy.
dirty,
in
dirty
Canada,
offspring.
But like, call it Hawaiian pizza.
They're dirty fucking offspring, the Canadians. Just as
Mhm.
bad.
I hope the Canadians have a swell evening.
Do you think anyone's ever tried to make toast with a microwave?
I have.
It
It's
won't
fun.
get crispy. It'll get warm.
It'll get warm.
Tell us
No,
about your
no,
microwave
no,
toast
no.
experience. I
No,
actually
no,
want to hear
no.
this.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Mhm.
So, I grabbed a slice of sourdough, right, as one does when you're trying to make toast.
Oh, of course. God, can't go wrong with sourdough.
And I slapped some butter on it, as one
As
does.
one does.
And and I slapped it in the microwave, and I, in fact, decided I wanted some wet bread for some reason. I have one of them fancy new microwaves, which has like a steaming
That you don't own an air
option.
fryer.
I do it on an air fryer, but
Air fryers don't do anything.
we'll get to that in a second. But
Just leave it in the
but-
air.
We'll get to that in a second. I decided to choose the steam option, and I ended up with the soggiest piece of bread I've ever had. It was delicious because it was sourdough and it was
Put
warm.
anything on it?
Why would you want soggy
Butter.
sourdough that isn't soggied by clam chowder?
Well, it was soggied by butter.
Okay. It's still just.
It felt like there was
soggy.
more butter
It's
without
different.
being
It's
without
different
having
from
a lot of butter.
toast with butter on it. It's different from bread soggied by butter and bread that is toasted and has butter on it.
That's true. It wasn't bad because it was sourdough. I think if it had been any other bread, then it would have been bad. But it was sourdough, so it was delicious nonetheless. But I would not recommend.
I wasn't planning on it.
I'm glad. Let's
A
talk
whole
about
lot
air
of talk
fryers.
We could talk about air fryers. I don't really know if they're much of a bread thing though. I feel like we talk a lot about toast.
No.
What other kinds of breads are you guys into these
Well,
days?
you can use bread for things like sandwiches.
I think
Are we
that's
sure you-
true.
are you
When do you think bread really became the true neutral ingredient in many in many a dish? I mean some use of grain like objects.
My
Like you have your
favorite-
corn tortillas and whatnot. It's not all about flour these days, like it should be, but
One of my favorite usages of bread in a meal is a sourdough bread bowl clam chowder.
Yes.
that's pretty respectable, I'll be honest.
Sourdough bread with clam chowder is like pretty amazing. You were talking about
It
Panera
is.
earlier. They have pretty respectable clam chowder for like a quote unquote fast food place.
It is
Say-
interesting that some people are fast food.
I don't think.
I
it
don't think
is.
I would go as far as to say
Like,
that.
No, there's chain restaurants
but
that
it's
aren't
like
fast
a
food.
franchise.
Islands
But
isn't fast food.
I mean, it is pretty fast.
you get things at a counter. That could just be a cafe.
I don't know. It's just
know.
classy. It's a
know.
fast food that looks like Starbucks, so I am fooled. My little American brain. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Little American
Yeah.
bread.
I'm picking up what you were.
Done
What
bread.
kind of what other
before.
forms? I mean, we've got baguettes. We mentioned baguettes a little bit
Mhm.
earlier.
Baguettes.
Shout out to baguettes.
Done.
Love baguettes.
They've been in the game for a long time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Long.
they're one of
time.
the OGs.
As long as there have been nights, there's been
Bread.
French baguette.
They use it for.
It's a whole French ordeal. Is most bread French? I have to ask this question because I need to know whether or not I should stop buying bread.
Is most bread French? I don't think most bread is French.
Where was bread invented?
I think the
Do
only,
we know that?
the only good thing to ever.
Do we
come
have
out
our
of France
historian
is
on the scene?
baguette.
Where's the historian on the scene?
I think there's
Where was
gone.
bread invented?
Bread? I think it was invented
Uh,
somewhere in ancient Sumer.
Bread was invented in Africa.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
I would-
No
I
wonder we
would've
took
guessed-
it.
I would have guessed ancient Sumer. I don't know if you actually know that.
they're-
It was invented.
I think they probably made like flatbread, but I don't think they used to.
I'm gonna do some research right now. I'm like looking up. I'm
I don't
getting a
think
book.
we
of
knew about yeast until at least zero.
Yeah.
When was
AD.
bread
decided-
yeasted?
Who decided that they were gonna? rub
But
some
slightly
bacteria?
before the Last Supper.
It is thought that
When
bread
Jesus
was
made bread
invented
for
in
the first
ancient
time.
Egypt around 10,000 years ago.
Makes
Who
sense.
was- Please explain to me. Who was this
Oh,
Egyptian
it was
guy
actually invented.
who was like, "Here's some dough. Let's put
Mhm.
some bacteria in it. Make me sick.
Oh.
Make me ugly. Let's put it in some bread. Some delicious things." And it made it better somehow.
Well, yeah.
Just nice
There was
to,
the
you know,
first person to discover
up the plate a
cow's
little
milk
bit.
was good.
cannot
Well-
imagine being that guy.
And imagine back in
American
the day,
hero.
Imagine back in the day. You live nowhere near any ice that could ever exist.
Sure.
Refrigerators don't exist yet. The only
Nope.
milk you can consume is room temperature. Or even worse, more like pocket temperature.
Pocket temperature?
Pocket temperature.
Please describe pocket temperature. I need to
I made a
know.
lot
I
of
need to
notes.
know this new standard
Like
of
the
measurement.
temperature inside your pocket.
Like when you put your hand in your pocket.
Yeah.
That's true. Your phone is like
That's a good
much warmer when
temperature.
it comes out of your pocket, right?
Mm-hmm. Even
Oh well, mine's always mine in Bitcoin, so it's a little bit warmer.
Mm.
Making the cash.
The grind don't
Wow.
stop. They
Yeah,
call me
but-
Miley Cyrus.
What about milk? Made people like keep drinking it until it became its best self when it started becoming refrigerated.
Isn't
When
How
did
did
milk
they
come
invent
into this
milk?
conversation?
cheese really if you used milk as dough for bread?
Isn't cheese
Yeah.
just
You're an
bread but with milk
absolute
in it?
madman.
He's not wrong. but
All
I
right,
don't
guys.
like
I think
that
we
he's
need to
right.
focus up. I think it's time.
Okay.
I think it's
Yeah.
time for the second sip. Are you guys ready?
A sip of bread.
Are you ready?
Mhm.
To bread.
Ah.
Whoa. I just spit water all over my mouse pad. That was a really bad idea.
I'm all bread.
So awesome.
It's
You're all
All
bready.
No.
all breaded up.
What about breaded
Bready up,
Oh,
boys.
no.
chicken?
Breaded
Bird.
chicken. Oh, breaded,
Breaded
chicken.
Right?
Oh.
That's what you said. Breaded chicken.
Oh.
Yes.
Breaded
The
chicken.
bread it hurt.
I love chicken tenders.
I do love
Chicken
breaded
tendies.
chicken. You know what? There's been a backlash at some point to breaded chicken. And you know what? I don't support it.
No, absolutely not.
I think
What's it-
breaded chicken should be acknowledged for what it is.
Okay, let's get this out of
Chicken
the way.
with bread.
Let's get this out of the way before we continue this conversation.
Yeah.
Chicken nuggets or chicken tenders?
Chicken tenders.
Oh, tenders. Oh, don't even get me started,
There's
bro.
a much wider
Nuggets,
variety of things you can
weak.
dip tenders in.
I am glad that I found people of quality to share this
Oh
podcast
yeah,
with.
that's the quality test. You know, if you ask someone, they say the nuggies.
The nuggies.
bro, you're in for not a treat.
Every time
However,
I try
unless-
They
chicken
are
nuggets,
brownies.
I always
They
encounter
are-
a bad nugget. That makes
Unless,
me
of course,
never
they
want
are-
them again.
Dino shaped. Have you ever considered that?
Yes.
Dino shaped.
You see, the market for dino shaped foods has been dominated by the dino nuggies for
Mhm.
centuries now. You know?
What about dino tendies? They ever gonna invent?
Don't exist yet. They haven't. Scientists have been working on them every single day. I mean, why do you think that progress on like climate change is so slow? That's what they've been so busy doing for the last like
Are you saying
Yeah.
that once we finally uncover the secret to creating dino tendies, we will be able to solve all the world's problems with great ease?
Yeah,
It's
because
exactly what I am.
everyone.
claiming.
Okay,
That is-
everybody loves
Yeah.
Answer
Dino
with bread.
Nuggies, right?
Mhm.
So everyone is gonna love Dino Tendies even more, right? Because tenders are better than nuggets.
It will
So,
be the
world
only.
hunger
'cause
over.
Think about it, right? The world is so divided, right? But some people like nuggies for dino nuggies, and some people think tenders are superior just because they're superior for the most part. But the dino marketplace is really far too great to be ignored. So in order to truly unite ourselves, we have to embrace both, and we have to get dino tenders. And I think until we do, we're in for a world of hurt, guys.
That's true.
It's not looking too
The
good right
greatest
now.
divide in our society is between people who love nuggies for the
People who love
for those damn
tenders.
dinos, and people who love tendies.
Knows. But we have the solution.
Dino
We just need to get them out. So release them already, right? I've been looking
Release
in the
them
frozen
in
aisle
living
for
Dino
months now, to no avail. I mean, I don't even go grocery shopping, but I show up just for that. You know, I'm waiting for all the posters to go up. You know, all the ads, all the big event.
Mhm.
It's coming.
God, I hope so. Anyways, I have a confession to make,
What
guys.
is that?
I've actually never had a bread bowl.
Oh, you like a bowl made of
Oh.
bread?
Yeah, we're actually
Oh,
going to talk
no.
about bread now. I've never had a
What's
bread
more
bowl.
French?
You have
French
Why?
toast or baguette?
Ooh.
Ooh, French. I like both.
Yeah.
French toast is, I don't know. It's a really cool breakfast item.
Yeah, I think French
Here,
toast is
let's
better than
consider
baguette.
this.
I
But
feel no, but I
French
feel like
toast
the word
baguette
baguette
is
means
more
French more than the word French does, and therefore baguettes are more French than French toast.
Yeah,
I think we can all agree that baguettes are more French than French toast. But what's better, baguette or French toast?
I think French toast. I
would
love
agree.
just with the powdered sugar on it. It's just
I have a question.
yeah.
Shoot.
Are pancakes bread?
No,
No, they're cake.
Are pancakes
small.
cake?
No,
no. Well, actually, that's
well,
much
No,
closer
they're more
to cake
they're
than
more
bread.
cake than bread.
Yeah, on a scale of
Are
cake to bread,
cakes bread?
I rate them like a muffin.
Why aren't cakes
Muffins
bread?
can be
though?
considered bread.
Muffins.
They're
Actually,
they're
that's
often
true. Muffins are also
they're
between
breakfast
cake and
items
bread.
put like pretty
Yeah.
close to
I
bread
think-
in
yeah.
relation.
I
Wait a
think-
minute. So we're talking
I
about
think
bread
muffins-
and bread shape.
Yeah.
I think this might be the perfect place to discuss what might be the single most important and complex question known to man. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
A hot dog? Oh.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I'd say
No.
yeah.
Because here's the thing. The argument for a hot dog being a sandwich, right, naturally,
Mm-hmm.
is, you know, you've got the bread here. You've got bread on both sides
Mhm.
of meat in like the middle, and it's a sandwich. However, that the connection in the back is what throws a lot of people off. Some people claim the hot dog is not a sandwich because of this bread connection, and it is, in fact, a taco.
Well, I think a hot dog is a sandwich.
What do you think of that?
Because, well, as much as it would be cool if the two separate parts of the bread were indeed separated completely, that is simply not feasible due to gravity. It would simply not allow the little slab of meat to remain in place.
Have you considered squeezing tighter?
You could do that. However, have you ever squeezed bread into like a ball and then tried to eat it?
I
just
Yeah.
most foul. It's
haven't
just a
committed
dense-
sin.
It is a.
Yeah.
so don't.
bad.
That is what you just suggested. Sin is exactly that thing.
May I offer my argument
not-
as to why a hot dog is not a
I would
sandwich?
love
Why?
to hear your argument.
Fellas, we eat sandwiches, like, pretty often. I
eat
wouldn't
sandwiches
I
say-
would
every
agree
day.
with that statement.
I wouldn't say that any of us. I actually don't know, but I don't think maybe people eat sandwiches every day. I don't know. So all of us probably eat a sandwich at least once a month, right?
I eat a sandwich every day.
Fellas,
I eat a sandwich every day.
when's the last time you had a sandwich with meat that spanned the entire length of the bread?
What do you mean?
I like every day.
What other sandwich has
Tur-
meat
the
that
turkey
spans
sandwich.
the entire length
Well, okay.
of the bread?
The turkey
Most
sandwiches I
Our
make every
burger
day.
sandwiches.
The turkey spans the
Most
whole
of-
length
yeah,
of
if
the
you-
sandwich.
Consider a hamburger a sandwich here for a second. The circular nature of the meat here, technically speaking,
Hamburgers
spans
aren't
the length.
typically
It spans
sandwiches.
both the diameter. It expands to all 365 degrees of the sandwich. Technically means it's as long as the sandwich, does it not?
It is. And so are the
They
turkey
should make a
sandwiches
math
that I
class
eat every
where
single
you
day.
learn to model bread using
The
Blender.
turkey spans the
Yes.
entire
Yeah.
length
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
sandwich.
But are your sandwiches rectangular or are they like tube whatever?
They are rectangular, but I don't see how that
Yeah.
makes a difference.
When's the last time you had a sub, which is the other tube sandwich out there, quote unquote sandwich, out there?
Are you claiming that
has-
Subway sandwich is not
I-
a sandwich and is in
I-
fact a hot dog?
I actually said the wrong thing there. When's the last
Subway
time you
sandwiches are
had a tube
sandwiches.
sandwich? When's the last time you had a tube-shaped piece of bread that had meat that spanned the entire length of the bread?
If you ate a hot dog,
Subway sandwich.
Subway sandwich, they use like a bunch of slices.
Oh, so you want one
Okay.
giganto
One
ham
long.
slice here?
Yes.
Cap, if you ate,
I think what you're
if you
looking
ate
for is a
hot dog-
glizzy.
If you ate a hot dog sideways, so that the buns were on top and bottom rather than left and right, would it be a sandwich then? Because Subway sandwiches are that way, and I definitely think those are sandwiches.
Those are definitely sandwiches.
Well, technically speaking, all you have to do is just
So why is a hot dog
rotate
not a sandwich?
the hot dog slightly.
I think even a taco could be
'Cause
considered
it-
a sandwich if you were to turn it sideways.
So now a taco is a sandwich.
Yeah.
Now what next? Is a burrito
No.
a sandwich? Is a wrap
Burrito.
a sandwich?
Well,
We're opening
no,
all
'cause
these.
It goes
all these
306
boxes.
degrees. I do think there needs to be some opening.
My
in
final
one-
question is
one
a
dimension.
pie a
A
sandwich?
pie is
No.
not a
Very
sandwich. It
logic.
does
No.
not use bread.
So
A
are you saying?
pie
Are
If
you
it
is not
saying
does
a
not use bread, it is not
how
a
it?
sandwich.
Okay, so if you're
If you
if
put
two
bread
pieces
on
can be
top of a
enclosed,
pie,
if
it's a
two
sandwich.
pieces can be connected on a sandwich, how many ends can be connected before it is considered?
What is? Are you gonna say a
Not a
calzone
sandwich.
is a
What if you
sandwich?
put what if you had
Is a
cage- what
calzone
if
a
you had
sandwich?
cage of
Is a,
bread?
that's what I'm asking. Is a calzone a sandwich?
calzone-
I want to
No.
hear that.
No,
It's
a
round pizza.
calzone is it's a wrapped pizza.
Yeah.
Why is it not a sandwich?
If
though?
you fold pizza over, does it become a sandwich?
Why shouldn't it? If you fold pizza in half, it is technically just as much of a legitimate sandwich as a hot dog is, because it's one connected piece of bread covering insides.
Maybe
you know,
I
I mean,
maybe,
you got your meat, cheese, and tomato. I mean, what? It's a sandwich.
maybe a graph
under
is
your
called for.
definition.
Maybe a graph is called for to plot things. So maybe not concrete hardline definitions like drawing
Yeah, but
arbitrary
like-
lines between
Yeah, but-
like a fading group. From
Are you
one to
claiming
another.
that sandwich not an arbitrary definition, but is in fact a spectrum?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sandwich
Bread is a
spectrum.
spectrum, just like autism.
Yeah.
Sandwich
Yeah.
is a spectrum. We need to invent one.
Wait,
The sandwich spectrum.
I will.
if autism is a spectrum and vaccines cause autism, does that mean that vaccines create bread?
No, I don't think
No,
that has
not
anything
really.
to do with bread.
Kinda like
Now on to
bread,
my second
guys.
point as
Bread.
to why a hot dog is not a sandwich.
Oh,
When's
there's
the last
more.
time you had a
Long
piece of
bread.
meat in your long bread that was a tube?
A fucking hot dog?
Yeah, that's what a hot dog is.
Other
You're
than the hot
stupid.
dog, other than the hot dog, which is not a sandwich. When's the last time you had a sandwich with a tube in it?
Corn dog.
You're begging the
that's
question.
No, a corn dog under your definition is not a sandwich.
No,
It's
no, no,
one of
no.
those.
A
However,
corn dog,
if you
a corn
bite-
dog is basically
According
a
to your own
calzone.
definition, a corn dog is not a sandwich because
Dog
you
is
said
a
a calzone is
calzone.
not a sandwich.
How?
Corn dog is a calzone.
was a calzone a corn dog?
A calzone is not a corn dog. It is a wrapped
Okay, but under
pizza.
your
A corn dog is a
definition now,
calzone, a
okay,
calzone
if you
is
were
not
to
a corn
take
dog.
your corn dog on a stick, and you were to munch off half of it vertically, and then turn it horizontal, is it now a sandwich?
It's a wrap.
It maybe okay. Okay, so maybe
And
something
things
can,
just become
California
sandwiches.
a
and
maybe
they
things
become a
can move
sandwich
around the
with you.
graph over the course of their lifetime being eaten.
But why should they? A sandwich should be constructed to be a sandwich. It can't just become a sandwich.
So okay,
That's
in
not
in
true.
your perfect world, what would the absolute
Was
definition of
Jesus
sandwich
constructed
be
to be
that
a
cannot be
sandwich?
strayed from?
The perfect definition of sandwich?
Yes.
Something that I like to eat.
Anything you like to eat is a grape a sandwich.
I wish it were.
Sandwich?
No, I think my
French fry
perfect
sandwiches?
definition of a sandwich is, I think really, a sandwich definition to be secured to, like, if someone says sandwich, the image in your head should be what it is. Like if you think of the
Okay.
word sandwich, a sandwich probably pops into your mind.
I picture lettuce and
And I think it
turkey
should be
between
accurate. I
two
think all of a
slices
sudden,
bread.
if you say you want a sandwich, and in somebody's mind, in this alternate universe, thinks of a hot dog first, then you're gonna have some problems. Because what if that person didn't want a hot dog, but they did want a sandwich? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Think about how sad that person was gonna be. Now they're gonna have to gobble that glizzy, even though they don't even want to.
That's sad.
Any thoughts on that?
No.
I just thought
You
we
give
were
me
observing a moment of
anything.
silence. I thought we were just observing a moment of silence for those people.
Oh, yeah, we can
yeah.
have a moment of silence for the glizzy
that's-
gobbler.
they're
Hey, did you
unwilling
guys
to
know that
listen
Joe Biden is the new throat goat officially? I'm so glad.
What the fuck does that mean?
The throat goat.
Throat goat. You don't know about the throat goat?
I don't.
He gobbles those
What?
pieces.
You don't know about the
He's
throat
the
goat?
goat of
I
throat.
don't know about the throat goat.
Have you not seen the picture of Joe Biden gobbling that glizzy?
I have not.
Oh, he gobbled that glizzy.
He also loves chocolate chip.
I
don't
know
if you
that
knew
much. I know Joe Biden's favorite
Oh,
ice
it's
cream
right down his
flavor is
throat.
chocolate chip.
This is not the ice cream podcast, though. This
It
is
is
promptly
not, it is
about
the
bread. It's the bread.
What if? Okay.
Wait,
Has anyone
okay.
ever tried to make
Everybody,
bread
I have
in
a
gaseous
question.
state?
I have a question. Is a taco a quesadilla?
I'm going to go ahead and tell you that.
Is it taco
Wait, sorry,
or
not
quesadilla?
taco. Wait, no.
No.
I'm gonna
Is
go
a
ahead and
hot dog a
mute him.
quesadilla?
He's
Is a
muted.
quesadilla a
We don't do
calzone?
that, man.
Quesadilla is not a calzone. It's not. It's not
Is a
open.
burrito a calzone?
No, a burrito is a burrito.
Then is a calzone
A
a burrito?
calzone doesn't have rice. No, a
Oh,
calzone.
so now
a
we're not,
calzone-
so now it's no longer about the bread on the outside. It's all about the rice on the inside.
I can also.
No.
I can
You
also say
disgust
The
me.
definition of
Also-
food should be
also-
based on the shape
also-
of bread.
yes.
The bread is the only differentiator here. Can you have
Okay,
a sandwich
fine.
with
Yes.
rice? though?
Burrito.
That's the
Burrito.
question, I guess.
Burrito is
A
rice.
sandwich can be
Is
a rice
a burrito
sandwich.
is
Can you have
wrapped
rice in
around
a
its
sandwich?
ingredients. A burrito is wrapped around its ingredients post mortem, right? But a calzone is baked with its ingredients inside of it.
Well, what if you bake the burrito then? Is it now a calzone? You idiot.
No, but you don't use a tortilla for a burrito. No, wait. You don't use a tortilla for a calzone. You don't use bread for a burrito.
Okay. You burrito camp people disgust me. Alright, let me tell you, okay? I'm sick and tired of hearing that hot dog goes and that calzones aren't burritos. I just want to live in my ideal world where things can be what they're supposed to be.
I think that is really something.
That's really. What's your ideal world?
Sorry,
That's why
I got really heated there.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say.
Describe your
about
ideal world right
burritos.
now.
Do you think we should make a new amendment to the United States Constitution relating to bread?
What if we made it out of bread?
Well, I don't think that's relevant to the contents of the amendment.
I think the bread would mold, actually. Nicholas, I think the bread would mold. I think that's a bad idea.
Maybe it would mold.
Bread would become moldy.
But we'd still have the
And you know what?
memory.
And it
Eventually,
molds
it
your
would
constitution.
decompose completely, and you wouldn't be able to read it anymore.
You wouldn't be able to read the
but it would be
Constitution.
oral
The Constitution
tradition.
would not be
Everybody
an immortal
everybody
document.
would remember the bread.
I'm going
It would
to
continue to be a living document
shut
because
the
it would be
fuck
alive and
up,
it'd be dying.
little bitch. He's shut up.
Good. Let's talk about
Gluten
jellies and
tag.
jams. Are you a jelly person or a jam person, you think?
Oh fuck yourself. This isn't bread.
That's not bread.
I brought this up like maybe 20 minutes ago. But
And no one answered because it wasn't bread.
are
I
you
think you
jelly
need to get more
person?
bread in your life.
Guys, I think it's just about
Bean
time.
wafers.
I think we've just about breaded all the bread out of this.
I do want to mention one last thing.
What is the
I
one
do want to
last
mention
thing
just
you would like
one
to
last
mention?
thing. My personal, when the chips are down, and I gotta pick a bread, I'm picking bagels.
Bagels.
Bagel.
I love bagels. Let me tell you.
I do like them.
Someone
Bagels.
took bread, and they said, "You know what would make this so much breadier? You poke a hole in it."
Make it
Now, I don't
round
know what
first.
kind of motives this guy had to poke a hole in bread. Maybe he liked bread just a little bit too much. But you know what? I share the same enthusiasm, and I like bagels a whole lot. And they have them in places like Brooklyn. Crazy.
They go water. They put water in those bagels.
Why do they do that?
And then someone
make
decided
them
to
wet.
make a bagel, but out of cake.
And that was a dumb person.
No, it was not.
Bagels are perfect how they are. Oh wait, are you talking about donuts?
That's
Dude, you just called donuts stupid before you
I
realized.
thought you were talking about like the
there's
hyper realistic
something on
cakes. The hyper realistic cakes that someone I thought someone made it like
no,
in the
they only
donut.
make those Dorito
Oh.
bags.
donuts. No. New shoes. But it's
Shoes.
just cake.
Shoes, but it's cake. Camera, but it's cake.
I wonder if anyone will ever be fooled into marrying cake one day. That they thought was their wife, but then it turns out was just
Oh.
cake.
I hate it when I try to marry cake and it turns out it's my wife.
Okay, well, I think it's just about time to wrap this one up.
take our last sip.
I think it's time for the final sip, guys. Are we ready? Are we
Yes.
ready for the final sip?
Let's-
All right,
Okay.
here we go.
Hopefully we don't spill again.
God, it's so cold.
Dude, mine's like 45 degrees.
Well, boys, I think there's no bread left to be had here. I think that's just about all of it. It's been fun, but I think I will retire to my bread now.
I will eat some cornflake. Maybe I'll invent a new sandwich.
Seems like a wonderful idea.
Oh my
You go
God,
do
I
that.
might eat some
All
ice
right,
cream.
cereal
I might,
bread.
I might eat some ice cream on bread. Cereal's not bread. Shut up. They're
No.
little.
All right, bread, Brethren.
Fuck.
Bread man out.